Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gal Luft. I'm co-director of the Institute for the Analysis of Global Security. I'd like to recognize here my co-director, Annie Corin, wherever she is, and our president, Robert McFarlane, who also is the co-founder of the United States Energy Security Council, and you'll meet with some of the members over lunch today. You cannot open a newspaper without reading self-congratulatory report about the fact that the United States is becoming or moving or inching closer to energy independence. And to a certain degree this is true because our dependence on imported oil has declined from 60% by 2005 to 45% today. So that's a non-trivial reduction in the level of our imports. Some of it is due to the recession, some of it is due to the fact that we are in the midst of an oil boomlet today, and the fact that we have increased efficiency standards of vehicles. There are many reasons, increased production of ethanol. But one of the interesting facts about the new situation is that while we are less dependent on imported oil, the price of oil over the same period of time doubled. And so did the price of gasoline. And that shows you that it's not important to be not enough to be self-sufficient if it doesn't affect the global price or what you end up paying at the pump. So clearly something is wrong with our method if we are becoming more self-sufficient and less dependent on others, but at the same time we are becoming poorer and deeper in debt. The reason for this, in our view, is that the transportation sector suffers from a major structural flaw, and that is the fact that our cars and trucks are made to run on nothing but petroleum. And the lack of fuel competition creates a situation in which we do not have the ability of other fuels to compete over market share and hence bring down the price of oil. Because, as you know, oil is a global commodity and the price of oil is determined in the global markets. That's why, in our view, the most important policy driver is to open the transportation fuel sector to competition among many, many fuels. And methanol is one of them. It's not the only one, but it's certainly a very important one in our view for many of the reasons that Greg and David Sandelow described here. In the past 10 years that IAGS has been in operation, we have been very enthusiastic proponents and supporters of methanol as a viable, important contribution to America's energy security. When Washington celebrated the coming of the hydrogen economy, we argued that methanol is the best hydrogen carrier. In fact, there's more hydrogen in a gallon of methanol than in a gallon of hydrogen. Later on, when cellulosic ethanol became the flavor of the year, we pointed out that 1 ton of cellulosic biomass would generate 50% more fuel if converted into methanol rather than ethanol, and that would take 19th century chemistry rather than 21st century biology. Now, the big story of our day is natural gas. And we all agree, including the President, that the United States has a unique opportunity and it has a lot of natural gas, and it's very plentiful and cheap. And we all agree that it needs to play some role in the transportation sector, but we do not agree on how that might be done. If you look at what's happening across the street on Capitol Hill, most of the talk and most of the policies and the legislation is directed only towards one pathway, and that is the use of natural gas in the form of compressed natural gas, what we call CNG. We believe that there is room to examine, and there's a very strong case to be made that because we live in a liquid fuel economy, it makes more sense to convert the natural gas into liquid and blend it into our existing liquid fuel economy. Now, David Sandalow mentioned that methanol and ethanol sound the same and there's only one letter difference. Well, so is the difference between Iran and Iraq. But as we know, there are substantial differences, and the fact that methanol enjoys two significant advantages. One is scalability, and another is affordability. And those two drivers, those two advantages are very, very important to our discussion. I'm not going to repeat the different attributes that were mentioned here before, but just to give you another point to think about. Today, America's entire fuel supply, that is domestically produced fuel supply, is taken care of by 6 states, that is Alaska, California, Texas, North Dakota, Oklahoma, and Wyoming, which produce oil, and another 8 states that produce biofuels. So altogether, 14 states in the United States contribute to our fuel supply. Methanol will open the door to another 17 states that could play a role in the transportation sector. Those are primarily the natural gas. 11 of them are natural gas states, and another 6 states that have a significant endowment of forest residue that could too be converted into methanol. So when we talk about introducing methanol, we're talking about opening the door to 17 more states that could play a role. And you know what it means. It means jobs, it means investment opportunities, it means a major contribution to local economies. So methanol is really the X factor of our energy security strategy. Yet, compared to other fuels, which enjoy political backup and strong constituencies, it is relatively unknown. Even among energy industry titans, it is still quite an unknown product. I'll just give you an example that years ago, Annie and I met with Nobel laureate in chemistry, Rick Smalley, who's very well known for developing the nanotubes. And we told him the methanol story. And he was fascinated, and he said, you know, I'm coming to, it's my coming to Jesus moment. He was so taken by this, even though he was a very, very accomplished chemist. And ever since then, he became an advocate, and he was a great supporter of our cause as a member of our Set America Free Coalition until he passed away, sadly. But it shows you that we still have an education gap to overcome, teaching people about this fuel and its advantages. The good thing about this anonymity of this fuel is that because it is largely unknown, outside of this room that is, people don't have strong opinions about it. You know, if you think about ethanol, it seems sometimes that the world is divided among ethanol lovers and ethanol haters. With methanol, you don't have this. It's mostly something that people have not made up their minds about this, and we have an opportunity to shape their thinking about the potential of methanol, at least be open-minded about it and learn about it. And this is what we try to jumpstart today. Today's conference is the beginning of what we call a methanol awareness campaign here in Washington. That's why we chose to host this conference in Washington and introduce to you and to your colleagues what is happening in the technology and the policy. And the goal of our today, this inaugural conference, is to bring the methanol story to the Washington community, to create constituency of stakeholders supporting the fuel, and to discuss the policies needed to bring methanol into our fuel supply. This is the first brick, the first mile in a long road that I hope that all of you will share with us. There is a tremendous opportunity here for the national security and for the economy of the United States, and I hope that today will mark the beginning of the creation of a national methanol movement with your help. Thank you very much, and thank you, Greg, for co-hosting, and to all your staff that have done a terrific job with us on putting this together. Have a nice day.